Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
All right, moving on now to China, where pro-democracy, anti-lockdown protests continue as you wake up this morning. Joining me now for more on that, retired Air Force Brigadier General, Newsmax contributor General Blaine Holt. General, I want to get to China, but I want to talk about a report out of the Times of Israel this morning, basically saying that President Zelensky calls on Israel to stop balancing between Ukraine and Russia. This has gone on for a long time. What do you make of that reporting? And then on the other side of this, stateside, you know, Donald Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes and Ye, who we used to know as Kanye West, avowed anti-Semites. How does that affect his chances in you know, going after the Jewish vote as he tries to get the nomination to become president again in 2024?
Right. Good morning. So much to unpack here with this. At Mar-a-Lago, I think there's trouble there because you really do have to watch who you're being seen with. And honestly, there's been some after reporting that Kanye and Nick Fuentes were actually going there to try to kind of set the president up in some fashion or form with their persona and presence. You just got to be so smart on the optics these days about who you're going to associate yourself with. But there's a long time to 2024. With Israel and Zelensky, though, there's two interesting stories there. On Zelensky's side and Ukraine, you can see that they're very interested in getting support militarily from wherever they can get it from. They know that the Israelis have significant military kit, and they're asking. But for Netanyahu, what a very tough political position he's in, because on the one side, he's got the interest in having better relationships with Russia to manage his crisis up on the Syrian border. And on the other side, the Russians and the Iranians look like they're really welding their relationship. And honestly, Israel's just one rocket attack away from this being unacceptable for them whatsoever to be aligned in any way with Russia. Saudi Arabia, the same thing. So it's just a cauldron of these mismatched interests. I just don't see Israel changing its policy with Ukraine anytime soon.
Good point. I can appreciate that. Back to the Trump dinner, it almost seems like Donald Trump was punked by Ye in bringing these guests. Who knows? So. Who knows if he actually knew them or not? Look, I don't approve of the Trump-Fuentes dinner, but I didn't approve of Obama's relationship with Bill Ayers or Louis Farrakhan or Jeremiah Wright either. Let's move on. So Joe Biden's been really quiet over these pro-democracy protests in China. Can't Biden support the protesters without calling for Xi Jinping to be toppled?
Absolutely, he can. There's nobody's got to call for regime change in China. That's China's business. But in terms of freedom struggle around the world, and it just happens to be we're focusing on China right now, there is absolutely everything appropriate with the leader of the free world standing up for democracy, standing up for those who yearn for freedom. That's part of being the American president.
How does this play out? So we're 5 days into these really historic protests in China. Tiananmen Square, and we've heard the comparison now. 1989, ultimately, we know what the Chinese did. They came in with guns and tanks. Yeah. How does this play out if it continues?
It's on its way to a very dangerous place, and maybe even a higher death count than what we saw from Tiananmen Square. The problem is, for the Chinese protester today, the amount of surveillance tools, AI, and everything that gets every single person known immediately puts that protester into a position they can't back down. There's no U-turn for them, because it'll only be harder from here. So that's how much courage is required to get out and protest. Of course, this is the Shangri-La that Klaus Schwab recently said we should all hold up as the standard of what we should be after.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate America that much more when you see what's going on in communist China. General Holt, we'll pick this up again soon. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Great. Have a great day.
Good to see you. You too.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting
the truth.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
for real people.